disabled people, people with mental health issues. They provide older people support, and they also provide financial literacy programs to the Pacific community. We were just having a chat, and the reality is that scams are very common, and those that are vulnerable, including the groups I've talked about, are often more susceptible to these types of scams. So really, being here is an acknowledgement that there are communities that are at risk. And so I'm going to hand over to Duncan to talk about the announcement.
Kia ora. Te lawhalava, malawa lele. Kia ora everyone, and thanks for being here today. And can I say thank you to Pānia and our hosts here at Waka Tautua. Look, we know that the work that they do here is really important, and the work with seniors and others around financial literacy is really fantastic. We know scams are on the rise here in New Zealand and around the world. Scammers are becoming more sophisticated and more convincing. Whilst we've been in government, a range of agencies have ramped up their efforts to combat scams, including the Financial Markets Authority in their detection and prevention work, the GCSB in security, and the police, of course, in catching and prosecuting criminals and more. And we've also seen banks step up their efforts to protect, prevent and educate customers in scams, and the work of non-government organisations like NetSafe and Consumer RNZ. All this work helps, but we think more is needed, and it's time to take scam prevention to the next level. So that's why a re-elected Labor government will establish an anti-scamming unit. And that unit will bring together parts of government and industry working on the problem. It will drive up coordination and joint action. It will plan jointly and create our first ever comprehensive scamming action plan. It will clarify where compensation should lie and where liability should fall. It'll make informed, coordinated recommendations to government for further actions that need to be taken, or laws, powers or policies that are needed. Countering scammers is about detecting and preventing financial crimes, finding and prosecuting criminals, and working on cybersecurity and ongoing financial literacy and awareness. The development of rules and protocols and powers and much more. Government, industry, civil society and everyday Kiwis all have their part to play, and the coordination of these efforts should not be underestimated, the benefits of coordination. It's really time now to get ahead of scammers and the crimes they commit. We can only do this by being sophisticated, working together in new and innovative ways. So we're really proud of Labor's policy to create an anti-scamming unit. We think it will really change the game and get ahead of these nefarious activities. Happy for questions.
Do you have any advice or research what shows that scams getting worse or more?
Yeah, the BNZ came out recently, I think, and said that 9 out of 10 people had an attempted scam. And look, it's interesting that even just talking in the hallway, we all seem to know someone who's actually been a victim of a scam. People are getting better at understanding what a scam is. The number of successful scam attempts has come down, but we've seen with some of the scams that are out there that they're getting more convincing, more sophisticated and more persistent.
When did Labor start working on this policy?
This policy's in the last few months. It's very much a Labor Party policy.
And how much would the anti-scam unit cost?
It would cost less than $1 million. A lot of the work is being done in different agencies, and it's about bringing them together. It will sit within the Financial Markets Authority, so there'll be some costs in the kind of leadership and secretariat within there. Obviously, wider industry, banks have indicated they're happy to be involved in this, and that would be at their expense. There may be some support needed for NGOs like Consumer RNZ to make sure that they have the capacity to contribute in a meaningful way.
In some instances, some people aren't able to recoup their money when they are scammed. Is there any work being done to perhaps force banks to do that?
There's work that's needed to be done. This is part of the problem, that we don't have a clear set of rules about when liability should fall on the bank and when it should fall on essentially the victim. At the moment, a lot of that is left in the bank's discretion, so we want to develop, ideally, a principled and universal guidance on where liability should fall.
When will that guidance be?
Well, that's a matter for the unit that we want to establish, but I agree, the banks have recognised that this is something that needs to be worked on. They're very keen to coordinate their response to scammers.
So have you talked to the banks? You talked to the banks, you talked to New Zealand Post, NetSafe and all those?
We've certainly talked to the banks about this initiative, and they're very comfortable to come on board.
So they're
Yeah, and
policy, like
pardon?
Of a separate unit?
Yes, they're happy to. Yeah, very keen to coordinate responses with the unit of the government, and to bring together all of the expertise from both industry. I think it's really important that it's industry, government, and consumers.
You said that it's up to the bank's discretion in terms of repaying. Do you think that they're getting it right at the moment?
Look, I know there's some work being done around identifying payees and matching them with bank account numbers. Absolutely encourage that work. But there are certainly instances where banks could do better, and I think we need to really explore that.
Is this unit going to be more powerful than the current situation? You said it's spread across different organisations now. What will this do that they can't?
Well, the powers are there across the different organisations. We've seen the FMA shut down websites, give guidance, identify things. We've seen the banks prosecuting. But what it's really doing is bringing together everyone so that you can have a coordinated approach. So it's not increased powers per se, but I think what it will be is a much more effective and coordinated response.
There will be people who say you've had 6 long years to do this. Why now?
Oh, we have been working on frauds and scams, and the works you're seeing in the banks has been a result of conversations with the Bankers Association and others. But this is just another step, an additional step that we can take to improve the response across industry, community and government.
You said it was a Labor Party policy. Was it developed in government or by?
No, this is a Labor Party policy. This is not a ministerial announcement.
You said you were having a chat before with this organisation. Were there any standout stories?
Oh, look, you may be able to talk to them about that, but I won't recount their story. That's for somebody else to do.
You said you'd spoken to NZ Post and the banks, but have you spoken to any social media organisations in terms of combating the scams coming through?
No, but I think I haven't spoken directly to any of the social media organisations, but we know, and I've certainly had attempted scams on a regular basis through Facebook and what have you, and they absolutely need to be part of the solution here.
And you said that these scams are getting more complicated. How soon after, if you do get into government, how soon after you get in would you expect this unit to be up and running?
Well, I'd expect this to be a easy win. It doesn't cost a great amount of money. The people are already there, so I'd hope to see it up and running early in the new year.
Will it include political scams?
Well, there is another scam announcement out there today, but I'll leave you to that.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah.
if I could just-
So you know that we've got Grant's on a stand-up at 11, and then we've got Chippy doing a stand-up at 2.
But
Yeah.
I do have a question for the Deputy
Sure.
Prime Minister. You've been in the job now for a while. Do you have any advice for a future Deputy Prime Minister?
Well, I'm certainly hoping to keep my job is the first part of the answer to that question. But future, beyond the coming term, where I hope to keep my job, I guess the biggest part of the role for me has been supporting the Prime Minister so that he can get on and lead the country to the best of his potential, and I think he's certainly done a good job of that. And my job has been to be his 2IC.
If there was a change of government, who would you prefer to see in the role? Nicola Willis, David Seymour or Winston Peters?
So again, we're not planning for that scenario, but I think New Zealanders should be concerned about the prospect of it being any of them, actually. I would think that that's quite scary to think that it could be David Seymour, Winston Peters or Nicola Willis.
Don't rate any of you?
I think New Zealand should be scared at that prospect.
How hard has it been for Labor to be leaderless on the ground over the last few days?
Oh, we've still been able to get on and do things. I think I've said a number of times, mostly we just feel for our boss who's been sick, and obviously it's frustrating for him. But we've been out and about across the country, continuing the campaign, and so it didn't stop because the boss got sick.
Has it been difficult for you guys though, all sort of changing your schedules, everyone?
No, he made it easy because actually, he's been doing quite a lot from his hotel room whilst in isolation, continuing to do the media work, doing Zooms, doing virtual town meetings. So he's still been working his butt off despite the fact he can't get out and about.
Have you lost momentum though, I guess is what I'm getting at?
I don't think we've lost momentum. It hasn't felt like that when I've been in Gisborne, Christchurch, Wellington, and now back in Auckland. Our foot soldiers, our volunteers are still out there on the ground doing the work. And, we've got a big team of candidates that are working hard to get us over the line for October the 14th. Kia ora. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Did you want to interview anyone?